some portion of that parking lot, that would be ideal, but I don't know operationally if you can do that or not.
I was just trying to visualize how much space you need in the corner of parking lots.
Well, I also think that for a little while, we can tell the kids not to drive and maybe they can park at Ithaca Park. Tell the kids not to drive, they can park at Ithaca Park and walk over to the school.
You want them to retire. You want them to get back there.
Exactly.
This is open space as well. I don't think that's second.
There is,
That's a possibility.
it is, but again, if that's where we're putting leach field, if that gets pulled in, there's just too much to it over there, right? What I'm passing out is a very quick and dirty CPM diagram project schedule. It assumes that we would get a notice to proceed with design sometime around town meeting. Please, Lord. We would then have 30 days or so of design development where we would take these concept plans and make them engineered documents, plans and specifications. It shows a bid period commencing about 5/25. It shows a pre-proposal site visit in there someplace. It's about a 21-day bid period, public bid, with a bid opening sometime around the 1st of July. It then provides the town a couple weeks to make an award, do mobilization, do shop drawing, and submittal review. The longest submittals in this schedule are the turf and I've assumed bleachers in this schedule, by the way, and bleacher, fabrication of bleachers and turf. Turf would arrive on site sometime in mid-September. At that point, the base would have been completed, the concrete curb would have been laid, the turf would then go in. The turf install is about a 2 to 3 week process, as I've shown it here, with the lines. With a ribbon cutting and beneficial occupancy of the field sometime in early November. Beneficial occupancy is event number 62, and it commences on 10/8/09.
Plenty of time for Thanksgiving.
Plenty of time, with a couple weeks of float. That's everything lining up very, very nicely.
Bring your own chair.
Your home porta potty.
Now, frankly,
Exactly.
the one thing that I think is at risk, if I had to pick what items on the critical path at risk, it's the track surfacing. The track surfacing requires a very significant curing period of the asphalt so that the volatiles bleed off before you put the latex or the urethane down. And then the latex or urethane requires very good temperature and moisture conditions. It has to be ideal climactic conditions. That's an event that could get bumped into the spring if we're behind schedule. That's the activity that's at risk.
So we might have a track for, we might not have a track for a certain period of time, for the whole school year, basically.
Well,
Oh, no, you're gonna lose
you
the
have it
winter.
for the spring
You have it for the spring, you don't need it for the winter.
You could surface it at the very beginning of the spring track season the following year.
Okay, and then falls on the cross-country stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason for,
Yeah.
the reason we felt this was ideal to do it in April is that you disrupted the most, at least
Right.
part of the sports,
Right.
especially for the schools.
Yeah.
So is like today's weather okay to do a track?
No, I don't think
To do the paving of the track, yes. To do the synthetic turf field, yes. To do the application of latex or urethane, probably not. It has to be 40 degrees and rising.
Yeah.
What's the cure time of that? Once it's poured?
It depends if it's latex or urethane, and it depends what type, but generally, each individual lift of the latex application cures in 24 hours. And that's, without getting into a lot of detail, that's the best answer I can give.
When is it playable after that, or?
I was going to try to avoid this because people are bored already, but the latex system is a built-up system where you put down a course of rubber, you spray binder on it, you wait 24 hours, and then you do it again. And you do it 7 or 8 times depending on the thickness you're trying to achieve. It's a built-up sequential system. a day or two after you're done, it's used. So that whole process takes a couple weeks. And it's very weather sensitive. A urethane track, which is the higher, more expensive, which is the one that's in your budget, is a pave mat. You take the rubber, you take the binders, and rather than build it up on track, you put it in a batch plant, you put it in a paving machine, and you actually pave it in place. It's less weather sensitive because you control when it goes down. And it's a one-time, one pass, it's down. And then you put a spray coating over the top. It can be done when it's a little bit colder, when it's not perfect in terms of humidity, and it's a little bit better controlled. That's the long answer. Okay. Anything else? That's the schedule as we kind of see it.
Maintenance, warranty, and repair, I think Bill has spent a fair amount of time early. You don't need to stand up, Bill, I don't think. Thanks. The field activity schedule, and then the funding of having to divert because of home games being played elsewhere. I don't think it's an issue. I think we've addressed that. Rita can talk to it if necessary. There was a presentation made a couple of weeks back to the Secondary School Building Committee. We had some questions and answers going back and forth, and we are now awaiting the vote of that committee back. I think Chuck owes a response. Rita, when? Sometime in the next...
Well, to the next meeting.
Yes. Okay. The next question, the Board of Selectmen assured us that there's no longer an issue around the title and who actually owns the property. The town owns the property. I won't get into that, but I've been assured that we've been assured actually that's no longer an issue. And then lastly, the moving of all school fields to the enterprise. And quite honestly, I said this to the selectmen the other evening. Certainly the idea has a tremendous amount of merit, and it's been bantered around for quite a number of years. The charter and the focus and the mission of this committee obviously was focused on this particular project. To have that happen, I think within, hopefully in our lifetime, that would be a great thing. But quite honestly, that's certainly going to hold us back from what our primary objective is, and that would be subject to the coming together of the Selectmen, the Hillview School Committee, and the Parks and Recreation, and a fair amount of work is yet to be done on that. Does anybody else have any other questions in regard to the project? We hope that all of your questions have been answered. Mr. Chairman, I hope that your question has been answered in relation to what do we get for the $2 million, and we certainly hope that we get the endorsement of the Board of Selectmen come town meeting.
We will discuss it again.
Thank you.
I think from our point of view, we have two issues for the school committee, and one is to officially vote to transfer the land. And we did, in our packet this week, have an opinion from town council, and not being an attorney, I think I understood it basically saying there are some things missing, but we can go ahead and vote to transfer the land, is the way I read the opinion from town council. That's the way I read it. Now, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I thought that's the conclusion. Jerry shaking his head.
I agree.
No.
Oh. And then
I will.
the second item is the memorandum of understanding, which I hope in the next week or so, some folks from REC and some folks from school committee will get together and
Absolutely.
put the final.
We looked at it, to be honest with you, the town council just didn't put the pin on it, but if they put the council members, a lot of you, and you all sit down and.
We can actually talk about that tomorrow at athletic subcommittee. So, and then run it by the final school committee for a final vote. And that's, from our point of view, I think conceptually it's I think it's great, just coming to grips with, Deanna said, if you build it, they will come, but they won't have any place to sit. So I think it's just coming to, and that's fine. It's a lot of money to raise. I mean, grants and everything else, and I just hope that between the community groups and the youth sports, where we have a ton of them, that once they see the field, the excitement and the momentum builds, and then they say, hey, we got to get the lights in here so we can use it 18 hours a day, and we got to get the stands in here so we can, whatever.
As we said, this has been a phased process from the beginning, and certainly the one thing that I've learned just from passive observance of some of the other projects that Rita's been involved with over the years, I think that her reputation speaks for itself. She's very confident that we can raise the funds. We realize it's a challenging economic environment. George has a question.
I think it's important to understand the funding. As as opposed to Ipswich River Park, when they all came to us and we funded that project, it was caveat that they raised money. And that's probably delayed some of the development down there. We got to a point where we saw how hard they were working, and, you know, they were raising minimal amount of money. So we retired them, told them to go do their thing, and we assumed the bond, which will be dropping off dramatically, of course. There is no commitment that we have with anybody to raise money. We will be budgeting the bond for the next 15 years. So it'll be set in stone, everybody knows. So they can go out, go do their thing, and go find lights, go find bleachers, go find whatever you want. And I think that's going to give some good ability if people go out and fundraise. It won't be coming to pay off a bond,
Yeah,
which is important.
that's why I say, once you get, people start seeing something happening too, and you know that a big part of this project is going to be completed without having to raise any funds, I think that helps you to raise the funds for those other things, once they see that, you know, the project going in.
Yeah, Maureen made a comment just a few moments ago. I mean, what better venue than to have all your alumni back for Thanksgiving when the field is ready to solicit their support for what would be permanent bleachers, you know, moving forward. So I really think that you have a very strong sentiment in town. Just having something visible to look at, I think, creates an environment that is even more conducive to fundraising. And I know that the committee is certainly committed to raise the necessary funds to complete the project.
One of the-
I've got a question on that. What do you do with the kids within all of the other activities they have while it's all, you know, ongoing, while the construction activity is taking place? There's a lot of other, you know, activities, physical education and all of the other sports that are played out there. Where do those games go? And you can't just say, well, they go away out of towns because the practices that happen.
You know, from my point of view, I think it's just like any other project you do. We have to find, you know, we have our indoor track team who runs around the school for their practices. That's what indoor track is. We'll have to find facilities, maybe phys ed, they stay indoors. Maybe they go down to Ipswich River Park. We'll have to play our games at other places. But as Rita said, we don't play a lot of games there. A lot of our teams play off the site anyway. That is a good point, Cliff, but I think like any other project you do, we've renovated schools and kept the kids in the schools.
We've renovated schools and sent kids 2 towns away.
If I
Exactly.
can address it also, though, if you look at the schedule that you put up,
Won't miss-
most of the work is going to be in the summer.
It's basically
From
8 or
July
9
1st to September before the school starts.
Right.
That's most of it. So you're going to be looking at probably the physical education classes and the outdoor from September
maybe through November.
through November.
Yeah.
And those are things that we certainly.
Soccer will continue to use for baseball.
Right, soccer uses the baseball field now.
Right.
So,
And one of the other things I want to point out is the amount of money that, although Bill, went to West Point, I didn't, one of the things, so it may not pay for some, one of the things we did look at with all the schools that have done it